You still believe that power lies in what you say? Pathetic. The herd shouts. The sheep explain themselves. But the man of power, the Übermensch, asks. He provokes. He listens. Because true domination begins not when you speak, but when you make the other reveal. While the average man begs for attention, the superior man remains still, asking the one question that detonates the unconscious. The real seducer is not a peacock. He is a mirror, a dangerous one, because he doesn't reflect beauty. He reflects truth, and most people are desperate to be seen, even if it means confessing everything to someone who doesn't blink. If this already offends you, leave. Go crawl back into your polite world of fake smiles and romantic delusions. But if something inside you aches to understand, to wield the invisible weapons of influence, then like this video, comment below what city you're watching from, and prepare yourself. This is not about love. This is about dominion. The art of asking is the art of unmasking. When you ask her the right question, she doesn't give you an answer. She gives you access. Access to wounds she forgot existed. Access to the child behind the lipstick. Access to the chaos behind the laughter. You think a compliment will make her desire you? No. A compliment is cheap, expected, a script, but a question, a sharp one. That's a scalpel. It cuts deep. It creates obsession. She leaves the conversation not remembering what you said, but feeling haunted by what she said and what she wasn't ready to say. That is seduction. Not pleasure, not smiles, but confusion, emotional tension. That is the battlefield. Not roses, not poetry. Tension. The man who seeks approval is already lost. He becomes predictable, digestible, disposable. But the man who installs doubt, the one who disappears at the peak of her attention, who interrupts the rhythm and bends the narrative, he becomes unforgettable. Because desire is not born from satisfaction, it is born from imbalance. Confusion is the seed, and whoever plants confusion harvests obsession. While you try to impress her with your charm, the real player is already inside her mind, rearranging her memories, infecting her perception of time. Understand this. Seduction is not romance. It's psychological warfare, a silent invasion. You are not offering comfort. You are triggering ghosts. You are not the good man. You are the unspoken question that keeps her awake. And here lies the paradox. The more you give, the less you matter. But the more she reveals, the more you become necessary. Because every emotional exposure becomes a bond. Not yours, hers. You remain distant, mysterious, unfazed. She becomes addicted not to you, but to what she feels around you. And she doesn't even know why. Words are overrated. Everyone talks, everyone sells their soul for attention. But the few who master the silence, those are the ones who rule the psyche. When you speak less, you observe more. And what you observe, you can control. Silence is not the absence of sound. It is the presence of power. The woman will speak to fill the void you've created. And in her words, she will undress herself far more than she ever could with her body. While you sit calm, still, unreadable, she will try to read you. And in trying, she will expose everything. The silent man is not boring. He is dangerous because he listens. And memory clings to the one who listens. Let others try to fix women. Let them preach. Morals offer stability, promise safety. These men will rot in the friend zone of history. Because a woman doesn't want a savior, she wants a witness, someone who sees her whole, not just her light, but her shadow, her darkness, her hunger, her contradictions, and instead of judging Gokistes, the man who validates her demons becomes a sanctuary. Because he doesn't resist the storm, he becomes the eye of it. In a world obsessed with control, he is the only one who doesn't flinch. That is why she desires him, not for what he says, but for what he dares to hold without fear. What she hides is what she wants you to find. Not through flattery, not through submission, but through provocation. A precise, almost surgical question. One that bypasses her defenses and touches a memory she didn't know was still alive. That's when you see it. The hesitation in her eyes, the sudden breath, the flicker of vulnerability. And that's your moment. Not to comfort her, but to remain. Cold, present, collected. You're not there to rescue her. You're there to collect what was exposed. This is not cruelty, this is alchemy. Because when she feels seen in that state, she binds herself to the one who didn't flinch. Now pay attention, because this is where most men fail. They speak, they confess, they hope to be understood. But the wise man, he makes her speak. He lets her confess. He builds intimacy, not through honesty, but through extraction. Vulnerability, yes, but not yours. Hers. A carefully chosen moment, a perfectly timed pause, a look that says, "I see more than you think." And suddenly, she offers you a secret. Not because she trusts you, but because something in you activated her desire to be exposed. That secret? That's the key to her memory, to her emotions, to her future fixation. A woman is not conquered by logic. She is conquered by contradiction, by the internal war you create without ever raising your voice. Ask her something no one ever dared, something that forces her to confront herself. Not about you, about her. Why do you think that pattern keeps repeating? What did that moment really mean to you? And suddenly the surface breaks. You didn't give her answers, you made her question. And now she's not thinking about you, and she's thinking about what you made her feel. And that is a bond stronger than touch, stronger than presence. That is psychological residue, and it lingers. This is why praise dies and questions live, because a compliment fades, but an unresolved question echoes. It loops, it multiplies, it invades her dreams. The man who understands this becomes unforgettable, not because of his beauty, his wealth, or his words, but because of the emotional riddle he left behind. And here lies your weapon. Not answers, not declarations, but invitations to wander inside herself. Your power is not in her attraction to you. It is in her confusion about why she can't stop thinking about you. Seduction is not satisfaction. It is curiosity that never dies. Now enter the realm of fantasy. Not the kind sold in cheap novels, but the one she builds in silence. The woman does not attach to reality. She attaches to possibility. And you, if you are wise, do not present yourself as a man, but as a door, a symbol, a suggestion. Through the right questions, you plant scenes in her mind. If I took you away for one night, no explanations, would you go? She laughs. She resists. But the image is already there. You are now more than a man. You are a scenario, a place her mind returns to when the world bores her. You've become fiction, and fiction is eternal. Do not underestimate this. The man who writes her fantasies controls her memory, and memory is the architecture of emotion. The right question, half innocent, half invasive, opens a chamber in her imagination that you now inhabit. She will replay it. She will reword it. She will rewrite you in different endings, and every version makes you more permanent. While other men try to impress with presence, you dominate through absence, because absence filled with suggestion is more powerful than presence filled with effort. A ghost she chose is stronger than a king she didn't. Let them mock you for being silent. Let them call you distant, mysterious, cold. They don't understand the mechanics of influence. You are not playing the game of validation. You are playing the game of implantation. While they chase, you vanish. While they explain, you imply. You leave blanks that her imagination is compelled to fill. And this is the secret. What she fills with her own fantasies, she owns. And what she owns, she defends. She'll protect the idea of you, even when you're gone. Because she didn't fall in love with a man. She fell in love with the part of herself that came alive around him. And just when she starts to pull away, uncertain, questioning herself, you ask again. Not about feelings. Never about feelings. You ask about fear, about childhood, about control. And she leans in. Because no one ever asked that. No one ever looked behind the curtain. But you walked in without flinching. And now she's exposed. And in that exposure, you are no longer a man. You are a witness. Do you understand? A witness holds power not because he speaks, but because he sees. And the one who sees her fully owns her silently. But here's where the cowards panic. They fear the shadow. They flinch when the pain comes. They retreat when the answer isn't. Beautiful. But you, if you are to be worthy of obsession, must stand still in front of her chaos. Not to fix it, not to pity it, but to recognize it. Women are not drawn to the man who rescues them. They're drawn to the one who doesn't get lost in their storm, the one who doesn't run when the mask falls. She may not understand it, but she will feel it. Safety is not the absence of conflict. It is the presence of a man who doesn't collapse when she reveals her demons. And what of those demons? Embrace them, reflect them, speak to them without fear, not with words of comfort, but with mirrors of insight. When did you learn to lie so beautifully? Who taught you to hide joy behind irony? These are not insults, they are invitations. And they work because they do not resist her darkness, they acknowledge it. And acknowledgement is rare, almost divine. The moment she sees that you see, truly see her, not the polished version, not the curated self, she will experience something terrifying, attachment, not to your body, but to your gaze. Don't fall for the illusion that seduction is about touch. Touch is the final echo. The real seduction begins long before, in silence, in gaze, in suggestion. The man who exposes everything too soon has nothing left to provoke, but the one who withholds, who implies, who lets the heat rise without ever crossing the line, he becomes the fever she can't cure. Eroticism is not in nudity, it's in the pause before the kiss, the breath between words, the suggestion that something could happen, but doesn't. Not yet. And in that not yet, desire is born. A glance, a smirk, a delayed reply. These are your weapons. They speak louder than declarations, because they force her to imagine, and what she imagines binds her. The mystery you maintain is not a lack of authenticity, it is the scaffolding of obsession. The more you reveal, the less she dreams, and women don't attach to what they understand, they attach to what they still want to understand. That's why the man who never explains himself becomes irresistible, because he gives her no closure. And where there is no closure, there is no escape. Do you want to become unforgettable? Then stop trying to be understood. Speak in riddles, move with purpose but never explain your steps. Let her wonder where you are, what you meant, why you looked at her that way. Let her imagination do the work for you. Most men chase presence. You will haunt her with possibility. Because what haunts a woman is not the man she kissed, but the one she couldn't decode, the one who left a question mark in her soul. That question mark, if placed correctly, will echo longer than any declaration of love. She will tell herself stories about you, that you are arrogant, that you are dangerous, that you don't feel. But the truth is, you feel too much. You just don't hand your soul over like candy. You watch, you test, you withdraw. And in that withdrawal, you gain control. Because control doesn't come from holding her tight. It comes from letting her come to you, not with obedience, but with obsession. You don't conquer her body. You conquer the voice inside her that won't shut up about you. That's the voice you aim for. That's the voice that keeps her tethered, even in your silence. Now listen carefully, because this is the secret cowards will never grasp. Vulnerability is a weapon, but not yours, hers. You never bleed first. You never beg to be understood. You create the space where she bleeds, gently, slowly, one question at a time. And when she finally opens, when she offers that scar, that story, that moment, you do not comfort, you observe. You hold it without flinching. And in that stillness, she feels something she can't name: submission. Not because you overpowered her, but because you became the only place where her truth didn't need to hide. And when you do speak, when you choose to open your mouth, every word must weigh. Like thunder. No rambling, no apologies, just precision. Because silence gives your words value. And your questions must feel like riddles from the gods. Not for answers, but for effect. Have you always craved control this much? What part of you still wants to be ruined? These are not sentences, they are detonations. And once triggered, they do the work for you. You're not guiding her emotions, you're rewiring them. Slowly, permanently, beautifully. She won't understand it. At first, she'll feel drawn but confused, safe yet exposed. She'll try to compare you to others to make sense of what you are. But you don't fit, you don't follow the script. And that's what destroys her defenses. Because a woman doesn't fall for a man, she falls for an experience. A break in the pattern, a moment that makes her feel more alive than her routine, her rules, her rationality. And if you become that break, if you become the unpredictable silence that shakes her foundation, then you're not a man in her life. You're the crack in her mask. The more she feels, the less she can speak. That's when you've won. When her body is still, but her eyes are asking for something she can't name. You don't rush. You don't offer. You let the silence stretch. Because in that silence, she's negotiating with herself, trying to regain control, trying to decide if you're safe or dangerous. And the truth is, you're both. You are the danger. She doesn't want to escape. You are the safety. That doesn't require softness. You've become the paradox, and the mind, once entangled in a paradox, cannot let go. Most men collapse here. They see the opening, the softening, and they ruin it with need, with declarations, with desperate hands. But you understand that power is patience. You touch only when the silence asks you to. You speak only when her breath betrays her stillness. And when you do move, it is never to take, but to command presence. The most erotic gesture is not a kiss. It's a pause that makes her beg for one. Not with words, with pupils, with tension. The man who doesn't rush is the one who lives longest in her memory, because his rhythm becomes a standard she'll never forget. This is how gods are born, not through volume, but through restraint. The divine isn't loud. It's elusive. It appears only to those who are ready, and it disappears just before it is seized. That's what you are now. Not a man, a myth, a suggestion that keeps evolving in her mind. Long, after your body is gone, and she will return to that suggestion again and again, not because you gave her everything, but because you withheld just enough. She will not remember what you did. She will remember what you almost did, the promise, the presence, the absence, and that's how you own her, from within. You see now, don't you? The game was never about winning her. It was about becoming unforgettable, about planting yourself so deeply in her psyche that even love cannot erase you. She may move on. She may swear she's over you. But the part of her that awakens at 2 a.m., the part that dreams, that aches, that wanders, still belongs to you. Because you didn't just seduce her body. You rewrote her inner narrative. You didn't ask for space in her life, and you took residence in her subconscious. And nothing, not even time, can evict you from there. Understand this well. Women are not conquered with strength. They are conquered with relevance. And relevance is built in silence, in questions, in presence that lingers like a perfume no one can identify. You become the echo inside her decisions, the reference point for all who come after you. Not because you were loud or perfect or romantic, but because you saw her. Because you didn't try to fix, to label, to reduce. You allowed her to be. And in that space you became more than a lover. You became a symbol, and symbols never die. There's a reason I never begged for love, a reason I never bent my spine to please the crowd or sweeten my tongue for approval. Love, when demanded, is counterfeit. But when you reveal someone to themselves, when you become the reflection they never dared to look into, they offer you something far more precious than affection, fixation. You become the question that reshapes their answers, the face behind every comparison. You are not loved, you are unresolved, and unresolved things never truly leave. So let them talk. Let them call it manipulation, cruelty, darkness. The weak will always mislabel what they don't understand. But you, if you've followed me this far, you know, this is not about games. This is about awakening, about claiming the kind of power that requires no noise, no validation, no theatrics, only presence, only strategy, only the ability to sit in silence and let the other unravel themselves before you. And when they do, when they collapse not in pain but in clarity, they will never be able to forget the one who watched without blinking. If she ever asks you, "Why do I feel this way around you, man?" Don't answer. Smile. Let her wrestle with it. Let her spiral through memories, theories, fantasies. The answer is not yours to give. It is hers to chase. And that chase is the true seduction. Because once a woman starts to question her own feelings, she's already surrendered. Not to you, but to the mystery you've become. Never offer closure. Closure is death. What lives forever is unfinished emotion, the kind that loops, festers, grows in silence. You are not her destination. You are her unsolvable equation. Let me leave you with this truth. The man who truly understands women does not seek to be loved. He seeks to be etched in her mind, in her silence, in the spaces between her words. He knows that what is said is fleeting, but what is felt without being explained becomes legend, and the legend is stronger than the man. So don't be loud, be engraved. Don't try to please, provoke. Don't try to fix her, unfold her. And above all, never try to be the answer. Become the question she can never stop asking. You've heard enough tactics, you've tasted the poison of strategy, but now comes the moment where most men fall. They forget themselves. They become what she wants. They bend, they soften, they betray their own essence for affection that's as fragile as her mood. Never do this. Never trade power for comfort, because the moment you become available, you become replaceable. And the only men who remain irreplaceable are those who never gave their soul away for the price of being liked. The lion does not ask the gazelle to understand him. He walks, and the earth remembers his steps. So I say this to you, warrior of silence, architect of tension, sharpen your questions like daggers. Guard your presence like treasure. Speak less, reveal less, suggest more. And when she leans in, don't meet her halfway. Make her cross the fire, because the one who struggles for you will never forget you. The one who bleeds in silence to decode you will never heal. Let the others be charming, let them be sweet. Let them win the approval of the masses. You will be a scar, beautiful, permanent, and untouchable. If this truth has ignited something in you, something primal, something fierce, then do not waste it. Like this video. Share it only with those who deserve to wake up. And if you have the spine to walk this path, subscribe. Not for me, for the part of you that refuses to die ordinary. Let this channel be your weapon, your mirror, your battlefield. Because here, we do not whisper pleasantries. We declare war on mediocrity. Now go. Go and become the question she never saw coming. The absence that screams louder than presence. The silence that rearranges her soul. Do not beg. Do not chase. Become a symbol. And when the world tries to shame you for it, smile. Because the free man does not apologize for his power. He wears it like a crown and walks alone, undefeated.